On behalf of Rosedale United and Leaside United Church, welcome to our online children's program. Good morning, everyone. I am Roberta, and it's great to have you here today as we celebrate a very important day in the church. It is Palm Sunday. Palm Sunday tells the story of Jesus walking into Jerusalem, and there's a parade for him. For today, we're going to have a bit of fun. There's a few things you might need before we get started. You might need your Read, Wonder, Listen Bible, but if you don't have one, don't worry. We're going to go through the story together. For today, we are going to be telling the story with things that we might use in a parade, things like musical instruments. For your musical instruments, they aren't too complicated. You might want a cardboard box. I have a cardboard box right here that I used to ship some stuff to me. And I drew some hearts on it. And this makes, any guesses? A perfect drum. If you have an empty container that your folks are not using, you can also put some rice or you can put some popcorn kernels in. And now you have some nice shakers. If you want to be really fancy, if you have a bottle, like this is a pop bottle, but you can use a plastic juice bottle or a water bottle, and you can see if you can make a flute sound with it. Just like that. And if you don't want to do any of that because it's too loud or maybe everyone's asleep at parades, we always have people waving banners and scarves. So feel free to get a scarf or just a fancy piece of fabric, and we can use those too. Now, let's get started.
Each week, we light the Christ candle together. The Christ candle represents the light that shines in each and every one of us.
Before we tell the story of Jesus entering Jerusalem, I want us to get ready for our parade. So we need to make sure that our parade arms and legs are ready. And you can do this at home too, as much or as little as you want. We begin by getting our perfect seat. I don't know if some of you have gone to the Santa Claus parade or the Canada Day parade, but getting there early to find the best seat is the most important step. So, we're good. If we were to take a big look around, I think that's a good view of the parade. Next, we need to make sure that it's not too crowded. So we're going to take our arms and stretch them out to the side and make sure that we don't have a bunch of people sitting right beside us. Hello, Couscous. Would you like to be part of this too? Yes, Couscous would like to be part of our parade. There is always room for Couscous. So we start with the side, and we move to the front, and we wiggle those fingers. And now we get ready to wave, because we're gonna see people on floats, and people on horses, and people in bands, and so we gotta be ready to wave. Let's start with small waves. Itty bitty waves. Excellent. Now, maybe we wave like, I don't know if you've seen how the Queen of England waves, but we can wave like her too. You take a hand, like this, and you twist, and just go, hello, hello. And with your other hand, yes, hello. Now let's wave like we just saw someone and we want to say hello to them, but they're over on a mountain over there. Good morning. Good morning, people. It's great to say good morning and to wave to everyone and to wave good morning to you. Now, let's get into our story.
For many years, Jesus would wander from town to town. He would make friends, heal people. He would teach and sing and laugh and love. Soon, a crowd would follow him wherever he went. Eventually, he made it to the huge city of Jerusalem. But before he would go in, he had to make a quick stop. In a little village near Jerusalem, Jesus was planning his own arrival into the city. "Why do you ride on a donkey?" asked Peter. "Why not slip in quietly on foot with all the other visitors?" "Or at least ride a horse," added Judas Iscariot. "No one will believe you're a king unless you look like one. Pilate is out there now on his war horse, letting everyone know not to mess with him. Show him that our God is stronger." Jesus sighed. "All along I've been trying to show you a different way. Now I am about to show you and everyone else what kind of king I am." Then Jesus climbed onto the back of a donkey. His feet dangled and his cloak dragged in the dust. Slowly he began to ride down the hill toward the city. It was Peter who thought of them first, the words of the prophet, "Rejoice, Jerusalem! Your king will come to you, a savior, riding a donkey. He will announce peace to all the nations." More people joined Jesus and his friends. The crowd grew bigger and louder. Some people threw leafy branches onto the road to make a path. And so they began to sing. "Blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord. Blessed is the one God has anointed as king. Hosanna!" Their joyful songs echoed off the great stones of the city wall. When Jesus arrives in Jerusalem, he could have chosen to ride in on a large, beautiful horse, or he could have chosen to sneak in just on his own. But he chose something very different. He wanted people to celebrate and at the same time remind them that this is a new path, one that's not made with who has the biggest horses or the most gold or the most power, but a celebration of a God that loves us as we are.
This morning, I want us to do something a little bit different. Yes, there's a bit of a craft if you need to decorate a drum or if you want to put a shaker together and decorate that nicely, but we are going to talk about how we tell stories. You've seen Rebecca and I tell stories in some interesting ways. We use our voice, but we also use little characters and animation. We try to tell stories with pictures. Those are not the only way that people tell stories though, right? There's singing. If I were to sing you a song about how my day was going, that's a story. Or if I were to dance it out for you on front of here, I could dance a story out. There's plays and movies where people pretend to be other people and act out a story for you. And there's also music. Music is a great way to tell people how you're feeling in a story. And we can use our instruments to show people that are feeling happy or sad, or there's a lot going on, or it's scary, or that things are still. Couscous found her ball, and so she's telling the story of a cat chasing a fancy ball. But we can tell our story here. So, if you have a drum, which is just an empty box, fantastic. You have a shaker, fantastic. Maybe you want a bottle to go, that's gonna be fun. Or if you don't have any of those, but you wanna participate, then simply you can bang your hands on the ground, or you can clap them together, or you can try other parts of your body, see what sounds they make and how they can help our story. So, once upon a time, in a land far, far away, there was a young man who would walk from town to town. When he got to each town, he would stop and he would ask everyone in the town, how are they doing? What do they need? And some people would be very happy to see him. Some people would be a bit sad. Some people would be very angry to see him because he was telling them to not do the things that they like doing. Eventually, he made his way to a town called Jerusalem. And As he was walking into Jerusalem, he realized he was not the only one walking. There were some friends with him, and there were more friends, and more friends, and more friends, until it sounded like a stampede. It was a crowd of people. And so he would get to a town, and then he slowed down. Everyone slowed down with him. And then he stopped. And he told the crowd around him that he was going to go into Jerusalem, but he first needed something to ride. He needed a colt. Some stories say a donkey, some stories say a colt. And he said to people, they must go and get this colt and bring it to him. So a few of his friends went to go get the colt, and the colt followed them to the man. Then the man got on the colt and slowly but surely walked into Jerusalem. People saw him and wondered what was going on. They opened windows and doors and poured out into the streets, and soon they began walking with him as well. And soon more and more people joined. Before you know it, the crowd was huge. You could not see the end of the crowd. And then there were people dancing, and they were singing, and they were playing instruments like this one. Walking down the street, trying to say hi to this guy on the colt, knowing that he was so important. And finally, he stopped. He looked around, and he said, "This is far enough. I need you to return the colt home." And so his friends that brought the colt, they returned the colt back. And they left a little thank you note to the farmer. As time went by, the day grew colder and darker, and a little fog set in. As the fog settled in, people started to hear the little pitter-patter of rain. Before you know it, it sounded like a whole thunderstorm. And so they ran for cover inside Jerusalem, in homes, in inns, in businesses, in schools, in temples, anywhere that they could find shelter. Eventually, the rain slowed down. And the sun started coming out. And Jesus and his friends came back outside. And more people followed. And they looked up at the sun and saw that it was shining and beautiful. And they started to dance. And music filled the entire city, and it was a joyous and beautiful day. That is what Palm Sunday is about. It's about people sharing in the joy and love that Jesus brought as he came into Jerusalem. And I hope that you keep these instruments around, because later today, we are showing a Palm Sunday pageant. Now, you might remember the Christmas pageant. The Christmas pageant is where we told the story of Jesus being born, and with Mary and Joseph, and we had friends just like you acting it out. Today we have one for Palm Sunday, and we think you're going to enjoy it. And so I ask that you keep your instruments with you, or your scarves with you if you want to wave those, or just get ready to have a really good time. But for today, let's keep our instruments with us and know that God is with us no matter what music we're making.
This week, we begin Holy Week. Holy Week is a special week in the church, as there are many days of celebration and mourning, services and rituals, as we learn about Jesus, his death, and his resurrection, and what it means for us. We hope that you take time to look at the calendar each week and to cross out each day. If you haven't, there's a calendar in the description box of this video that you can print out and begin the countdown to Easter yourself. This week, we invite you to take a moment each day and pray that each day you get a little bit closer to understanding and loving Jesus, just as much as he loves you. As we go out into the world this week, let us think of all of the ways that we can celebrate the arrival of Jesus and know that God is with us each and every moment. We'll see you next week.